guys, welcome to another stream. Tonight I was going to do the Black Pearl, but unfortunately I didn't do anything over the weekend for music and title cards and everything else, so I'm not ready to do the Black Pearl. However, in the last few days I got all the aftermarket I was waiting for the Titanic, so I have quite a bit that I can show and maybe put some together. And truthfully, since I ran into the problem with the bollards on the Titanic and how difficult it's... Turn up my speakers. You talking to me, Kenny, or... Hang on, let me see. Oh, yeah, I see it. Hang on. How's that? Is that any better? I cranked the microphone up as high as it'll go. Let me bring up the microphone software, and I will crank the speakers a little bit better. We were having some trouble with a live stream over the weekend, and so I turned down my gain on the speakers. So hang on, let me bring this up. Now let me bring it back down an ob so I don't blow you guys out of the planet. And let's see, let's go with that. How to find the stream again. How's that? Is that better? Okay. Yeah, like I said, over the weekend we had some issues and we were troubleshooting the a live stream on Discord, and so I ended up turning down my gain on my microphone. So, not doing that again, Eric. If you have an echo. So, as I was saying, I've gotten a lot of parts in. I got the sound card in. Finally got the internal bracing in. Not sure if I'm going to need the internal bracing or not. It's just that I've seen some people say, I've seen some descriptions of how flimsy the sides can get as it's being built. Not sure if I'm going to get any building done because I've got a lot of stuff to show. I want to show the light and sound board, and so let's go ahead and start working on that. And instead of the light and sound board, the first thing I'm going to show is the internal bracings and the stand that I bought for building the model. So let me switch cameras over to here. And so right now all that's on the screen is a stand a building stand for the model. What it is it is actually adjustable. You can slide this in and out. You can slide these in and out to fit down to what Andrew said is it can go down to a 350 scale model, which he's actually got two sizes. He's got which is the 1/200 scale. He's got the 1/350 scale as well. But since this will hold the hull of a 350 scale, I bought it because it has. You can put your ship in. Matter of fact, let me get the boat in and back it away so you can actually see it. It's got two separate sets of stands for the actual keel. The screws down here relegate how far down these will go. They're two different sizes. The tower on here is a little bit bigger. We get the model itself and give you an idea of how well it holds the kit, or how well it holds the ship, and also show you what the real nice feature about this is. So it's nice to have some very serious Titanic tools. Let me move the chat over to this other monitor so I can see it. So it's nice to have a stand to work on this ship in. And what I've been using is the actual stand for the ship. What this is going to let me do, I've got to work this out because I don't want to block my video. So I because I watch to see what I'm putting on the screen at the same time. So what this allows me to do is it lets me set it in here for working on it when it's upright. This would have been great when I was drilling holes instead of having it in my lap. But if I take out these two set screws, lots of threads to this thing. There's some holes in the rounded parts so that when I take out the set screws, I can rotate it towards me to a specific angle and then lock it in place so I can work on the ship with it at a specific angle, so that instead of having to always stand or crane my neck, the ship is actually pointing right at me. And right now I have the decks, I have the upper decks on. Haven't done anything since I did the wood on the first deck. I got a little bit discouraged when I couldn't get the photo etch together. And when I get discouraged, I tend to set things aside for a while. So now if you look, and let me see, let's rotate her down to about 45 degrees. Then I put the screws back in. I have to double check on the other side to make sure I'm at 45. Or is that 45 or is that? Oh, no, it's 40 degrees. I'm not going to put the screws all the way back in. It's going to take, that'll take too long. I just want to get them in far enough to where they're actually bracing it. This side is not down that far. And I just noticed that at 40 degrees, these are flush. So that's kind of a cool way to just feel it with your thumbs. And then when I'm working on the ship, when it's in here like this, instead of standing up or craning to see over the top, I actually have the top of the ship, the deck, pointing right at me. Let me raise this camera up so you get a better idea. And actually, I'll bring it up. See, now instead of trying to crane my neck over top of it, I'm looking straight down on the ship. When I first saw them coming out, Andrew first put them on Facebook in early to mid-November. I was like, I need that. And he, you know, there was this, and there's also, let me see, let me shift over to the other camera. With that, this is all lights and sound for the kit. I have not yet put this together. I've looked at it. And I lost my chat window. Hang on. I agree, Eric. I really like that thing. So, what this is, and it's out of frame. Man, my windows keep closing on me tonight. Okay. This is internal framework for the hull, so that as I'm building it, it's not going to push in. It's also going to give some support on the top. Once these are in, once these internal bracings are in, these will go over the top. Have not yet built it. This is going to take a while, and it's pretty cool the way he did it. it's right in the 3D print. It says stern, bow, so you know which way these go in. And they just kind of slide together. There's screw holes in all of them so that you can see where the screws go. It also has an upgrade, which, because I pre-ordered, and it goes all the way to the bow. Because I pre-ordered, he included the upgrade for the lights. Wow, my camera is slow tonight. But these, for LEDs, it's got a track in here. Track here that the LEDs will sit on top of. And then these will diffuse the light. And he's coming out with an upgrade to match up to the lights and sound kit from Magic Scale Modeling. This was not a bad purchase. I think it's well worth it. If you are going to be building the Titanic, just get in touch with me and I'll put you in touch with Andrew. He's doing a lot of things like this. He's also starting to work on parts for other 1 to 200 scale kits to do it pretty much the same thing for other things like I want to say he's working on one for the Enterprise. You know, all of them that Trumpeter is coming out with at this point in time. And so the third thing that I got, light and sound kit. Well, yes, third thing, the 3D printed stuff all came in the same package. This light and sound kit, I don't remember if I talked about it at all before, but I finally broke it. Even if I did, I broke it out and tested it just to see how it works. I am really impressed with this. I'm looking forward to when the model is done and to just plug this in and let it run. It comes with some UV glue. This is before what is it? Not Stylorez. Solarez. Before Solarez came out, this stuff was out on the market. There's a little LED in here that will push out the UV to cure the glue. That's to help glue the pieces down. Very impressed with this little kit. I love the way it works. Everything is all pre-wired, pre-soldered. The only thing you have to do is plug things together. So like here's the board. And it has, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 16 channels on here. 16 channels to include some extra channels. I bought some expansion for it so I can actually light my smokestacks. And this is perfect for anybody who has never, ever done any lighting, because you look at this. I know I've shown this before, but I'm still very impressed with the way they did this, the way the pins are. You know, because you can't screw it up. It plugs in. I mean, it's plug and play, literally. The only thing you can screw up is where you plug your channels in. I'm not going to worry about channels tonight. I'm just going to plug in some lights so you can see what it does. Let me double check. Yeah, I've got a USB plug here. I'm going to need it in a few minutes. Of course, I've also got the USB for the computer. But so this plugs in like that. It's USB, didn't get the power supply. I may eventually go back and order the power supply from them, or I may just cut a power supply off because I do a lot of my own wiring already. Speakers, there's already 2 ports on the board. I've wired one up before, and I was impressed with these speakers not having anything in them. They're a little bit tinny, or not anything around them. They're a little bit tinny, but they will be great inside the model. That's one of the things Andrew's working on, is mounting points for the speakers. I think I was about to try and put that in backwards. Yep. So the speaker just plugs in like that. And these little darlings are ingenious. I truly think it is fantastic what they did, because, you know, you've only got 16 channels, but that means 16 circuits that you can plug in on each of the channels, each of these circuits. There's 8 separate points on here, and you got your, you know, you can't plug them in wrong. You plug in this socket, actually let me back up, because it comes with some 3D printed pieces as well. And I wasn't sure how this worked until I actually took one and put it together. There's a little groove inside here on the edges here. This circuit board slides in. You gotta get it past the solder points on the back side. And so once it's in there, it's protected. There's no way to short anything out. The points are all covered. And then once you put your wires on, this thing, once you've put the connections, this will slide down like that. I think this is the way it goes. I know this part's on right. I'm not sure if this is on right. It could go the other way so that this thing could actually lock in, but no, it's not going to. Regardless of what I do, I probably have to glue these two parts together once it's in there. But that's okay, because I'll never be taking it apart again. Like I said before, it's just a plug and play. Unwind the socket, or unwind the wire. By the way, the instructions, you have to print them yourself, or I think it was like €25 that they charge for you to get them, for them to send you the printed instructions. It's a 30-page book. Well worth printing yourself. Takes some study of it to figure out what goes where, but it lists out the channels and what the wires and LEDs are. And like right here, quantity 2 LED strip, 66.5 centimeters. It's going to say what the LED strip is, and then it's going to tell you how or where it goes. It'll take a little bit of figuring, but it'll work really well once it's done. So then you plug these, female to male, just plug in the sockets, and I took 4 of them. I'm going to actually wire up 4 sockets, because I've also got 4 sets of LED tape. There's There's SMDs included in the kit. A lot of little bits and pieces. A lot of lights in here. And so this is the same thing. And I can put up to 8 things on one channel. So let me go ahead and wire up the other 3, because I want to run it long enough so that you can actually see where it'll actually turn on and off things depending on what's going on in this music, or not music, the sound. It has ocean sounds, it has dining room sounds. I'm actually really impressed with this little kit. So I just want to make sure I don't bend any pins because that makes life really bad. Come on, there you go. About the hardest things to set in are the sockets inside the small connector. That's connected. And in the paperwork that comes with it, it says to give them a call if you have any, call them or email them if you have any issues. From what I understand, their service after the sale is really, really good. They'll get on the phone with you and actually troubleshoot it down and tell you what you need to do to fix it. Not sure how they are on replacing parts. I haven't heard, but I'm hoping I don't need to replace anything on here because it's brand new. It's kind of like one of them things. Other than if you're doing something like what Eric's doing, where he's going to sink his Titanic, weathering a Titanic sounds really funny to me. It didn't make it to its first port. Why would you weather it? So one thing to make sure of when you're doing this is you want to make sure that you get your connections correct. If you hook up to positive pin 0 and negative pin 2, I don't know if it's going to actually work or not. Hopefully this isn't too boring for you guys. So, and the great part is once I get all this done, I got to take all this back apart because I'm keeping everything back in the bags that they came in just so that I know where everything goes. So now I should be able to do these two really quick. I was thinking about plugging it into my USB connection to the computer, but I would hate to plug it in and find out that I just fried the chip because my computer talked to it and they didn't like each other. So, actually, let me move this over because otherwise it's going to bump one of the cameras. So if everything's right, I should get a red light on the board, sound, and ocean waves. It's not too bad. I want to let it run through a couple because interesting. I just want to make sure. Okay, those are plugged in. I was concerned because those lights were out, but it should, once it switches scenes. Yeah, see, those lights came on now. Let's see, that should be channel 0, I believe. Ah, that's why. Those are nav 1 and nav 2, the port and starboard navigation lights. So anytime the ship is underway, those lights will be on. Port and starboard navigation, wheelhouse, mast, The navigation lights for the mast, front and rear, is what this string that was out was. So I'm going to let it run a little bit longer, maybe see if it switches. Unfortunately, there's no volume control on the board, and there's no way to change the scenes yourself. Those are the only two things I would change on the board. Okay, so I'm going to unplug this. I love this board. I think this board is going to add a lot of life to the model. I am going to pull all these wires for right now. Put a little bit of the stuff away. But, you know, I can do cleanup later after the stream is over. And there's one other thing that I've gotten. You can see it. You probably don't realize what it is. It's on screen, but it's very small. And I was looking at buying the aftermarket kit that actually has Rose and Jack on it, you know, the Titanic crew and everything. And it was they're 3D printed, and it would require me to do the painting on them. And I'm okay at painting. I'm not the best. But I'll tell you right now that if I was to try and paint, where's my cardstock? If I was to try and paint something this small, here we go. Had them. Come on. If I was to try and paint figures this small, they would look about like what they do here. I may do some painting on them, but they're tiny. But that gives me people to place all over the ship. So actually, these shouldn't take that long to pull apart. That can stay there. One hub. Oops. You guys are awfully quiet out there. Am I alone? Oh, Shoe's knee deep in work. Donnie's on his way home now. Just saw a couple messages on Discord. So yeah, this is going to add, let me put it this way, it's going to add life to the model. It's going to add a lot of work to the model too. Now, I'm not sure how much work. I do know it's going to be less work than it would have been to do my own lights. Key piece I really want to get put away is the circuit card, because it's not in a static proof bag. Can you hold the big green? Oh, this board? I don't think it's an Arduino. It might be, but I don't think it is. I mean, if it is an Arduino, then okay, it's an Arduino. But I think they actually might be building these in-house. And you know, I just looked at it. It can't be. Plugging the power into the computer wouldn't hurt it one bit, because, oh no, shit, I have a serious problem. Now I'm going to find out how good their warranty is. I see where it plugs in, but I should be able to get them to fix it for me. That's heinous. Those connections should not come apart, because I didn't put any pressure on it at all. So I'll be reaching out to them and saying, what do I need to do to get this replaced or something. Oh, it's not used, Vince. I think it came apart when I was disconnecting things. Regardless, it should not come apart that easily. Especially not for $350. No, there is no remote control on this one. At least none that I know of. I don't think that Magic Scale Modeling actually does any remotes. At least I know they do remotes on some of their stuff. I don't think they've got any remote stuff on the Titanic yet, because the Titanic, they literally came out with this board and these lights and everything. They came out with in January. They've been mid-December actually. They showed up, the board showed up as coming in November, and it was available for pre-orders. I wasn't able to pre-order it because I didn't have the cash on hand, but as soon as I was able to, I ordered it and got it in. Was not bad. They were pretty quick about getting it out to me. Like I said, I will either email or call them tomorrow and say, so yeah, about the main board. If they tell me to go ahead and try and solder it, I will. But I'll tell them I expect if I can't fix it, that they'll need to fix it back, make me whole. And I'm sure they will. They have, from what I've seen, they've got a really good fan base that are buying their stuff. And like I said, their stuff is not cheap. So, let me grab this deck. And the wooden decking for it. And I realized something after the fact that, after I'd already done it, I'm not positive if I did this right, because I think you could do it either way, and I've done it on 2 decks, so I'm probably going to continue. But these here, let me hold that up so you guys can actually see it. I think I've shown this before. But the bollards here, I'm going the wrong way. So the bollards here, the base, I think they're wide enough that they would sit just right on top of these holes that I cut in the wooden decking. I mean, they fit into the holes really nicely. My only concern is, I shouldn't be having delay on the camera for me. So my only concern is that they might be too, the cutout might be too much, and you actually see the deck color underneath. Although, hang on, let me see. Maybe a little bit. You can see on here, compare it. If this was on here where it belongs, the wooden decks that were made in cooperation with Trumpeter, had to think for a minute there, but with the decks don't match where the actual parts were on the deck before the wood goes on there. So I've had to cut these things down to get them to get it to fit on. Let me see. Let me look at this one, what I did. Okay, yeah, I did just lay it down over top. If I have to, I can paint it. Wow, my camera is delayed for me too. But if I have to, I can paint before I lay those down. As a matter of fact, instead of working on this one, let me set this one down here, because I'm still trying to figure out how am I going to get that little piece there to go on those bollards, because it does not fit in the slot. And what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to go ahead and build all of these bollard bases. You see the hole there? That's where the actual barrels will go. And my plan was to build them all, or build the centerpiece, the base, leave the barrels off until later on. Come on. Focus. So leave the barrels off until later on and, drill the holes. But I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to lay these in here, use a 1 millimeter drill, I believe it's what it says in the instructions. Use a 1 millimeter drill to drill the hole so that I can then glue those onto the base and maybe try and get that small piece to fit into it and actually stay, because then I have 3 spots that I'm gluing it, not just the one in the center on the bottom. So let me find these. They are 0.3 to 1.2. If I can open it. Now remember, I think it was Donnie who asked if anybody, maybe, or actually I think may have been Matt, who asked if anybody had ever used these before. And I said one of the great things about them is that you can use them without having to put them in a pin vise or anything. So these go to 1.2, 1.1, so this should be 1 millimeter here. Let me just double check. It goes through without any problem. Yeah, that's about perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as my template, because the key thing about this is I don't want to glue these down until after they're painted. So actually I'm going to end up drifting all over the place that way. And since it's sitting right here, it's got the right chuck in it. Well, close to the right chuck. It takes some push to get it in there. Make sure that's back still in there. So that one's in there. That one's in there. You double check that it's going to fit with a pair of the barrels. See, my thinking is I'm going to glue the barrels on. Right now it's not sitting flat. Wow, nice snug fit. So if I glue the barrels in like that, and then come in behind afterwards, I might be able to lay that piece in between those two pieces and actually have it fit and stick. I'm going to leave those like that. Actually, I'm not going to leave those like that because I know what's going to happen if I do that. I already checked. There's only the right number of these things, so I'm going to put that in there. Actually, let me find... I'm just making sure because there's two different kinds of barrels. I want to make sure that I'm not putting the wrong one down in there. I don't know if you can pick it out in the instructions. So there's no circle on those two, the ones that are on this deck. But there's small circles on these, which means that those ones get the raised bump on the barrels. And I don't know what else to call them. I know it's part of the bollards. Maybe that's the actual name of them. So if you look, okay. Actually, you know what? I'm doing this the hard way. So you can see on this one, it's relatively flat and there's a circle on there. But on this one, there's a bump instead. The way I see it, the ones that have the bump on them are the ones that belong up on the upper deck. The ones without the bump should be down below. So let me switch these two out. Make sure that they're going to fit in there. Also, I don't remember if I pointed it out. I think I did. The work, well, since I'm zoomed in, the work that I did back here, and that's all under an overhang. I am going to see if I can fix this because it's not straight. This one's pretty straight. This one's kind of leaning towards the air filter or air pump here. So I'm going to try and get it fixed. If not, it's not going to be visible because it's going to, the deck above goes over it like this. And then there's a wall that goes in here as well. But I still want to get it the best I can get it. Make sure that these are going to actually fit down in here. And this is the Pontos detail set. The KA detail set, I believe that instead of these pieces, these things being, the bollards being 5 pieces, I believe that the KA set, it's just complete resin print, a 3D printed set of bollards. And I love honestly, I love the color of the brass, but it's not going to be black brass. It's going to be black because that's what it's supposed to be. There are several other places. There are larger bollards that are up on the upper deck, excuse me, that will be brass. Sorry, I was thirsty. So now, move these bits out of here. Close them, because if you look at them wrong, especially the small ones, if you look at them wrong, they'll snap. A little bit of tape. Anybody who's watched me before knows that I put tape on the, or I put tape down so I can put glue on it, so that I can forget that it's there and set tools in it, my arm, you know, whatever happens to be handy, and that I use the cheapest glue that I can find. This one appears to be empty. One of our dogs is coming downstairs. Open this one. Hopefully it's not dried out. And I did like I usually do when I'm getting ready for this, because unlike certain people, Kenny shall remain unnamed. I don't keep my work area spick and span, so I just kind of shoved stuff over. There's one of my glue sticks. Let's see, I need to zoom back out because I'm out of frame right now because of being zoomed in. By the way, guys, a mouse does not pick up very well on sheeted glass. Actually, a little bit further in. That should be good. So I've got my glue here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the tweezers, and I'm going to take one of these bad boys. And the difference on this one is that it has a rivet detail around the outside. One of these bad boys, which is simply flat, except for the groove that one piece is supposed to go into. Come on. So, let's see if I can get you a better look at this. So you can see that the one on the top has a little bit of detail around the outside, and it's just got that one notch in the middle. The one on the bottom has no detail other than that notch that goes all the way across, and that notch actually goes through the part. And so if I can get one, this piece is supposed to actually go through, the point on that is supposed to go down through that notch. I have yet to get one to work. Of course, I only tried it on one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try it one more time, just because I'm on camera, something's going to go right suddenly. If I can get a hold. There's one of the major problems. It is so small, you can't even get a hold of it. Make sure. Wow. Let me see. There's a bit of a burr on there. Still is. Metal file for a metal burr. I'm hopeful, but I'm not expecting anything. Actually, before I try and do that. And there are still little burrs on the edges of that piece, but they shouldn't matter. Somehow I got glue on, like I said, forget the glue's there. I didn't put my hand in it at all, but I've got some on my fingers. Bit there. There. Let me do the same for this piece. These pieces of photo etch are so tiny. Can feel them, and that's the thing is, if I know most of us have worked with photo etch, but what I try and make sure I do is I'm running it along the length of the photo etch, not across it, because if you run across it, you can bend it, and then I use my finger to feel if the burrs are still there. There's one still there. And sometimes you have to do like I have been and run it this way instead of the length of it. So let me see if for some reason this little thing will magically pop in there. If it does, I will be elated. So small. Actually, I can even see the burrs on here. That's the problem. I keep dropping the file in the glue. So let me see if this is going to work. I don't have high hopes, to be honest. I've actually gotten it on there on one piece. It never makes it through to the second one. I've had it glued, I have had one glued onto a piece before, but it just fell off when I was trying to work with the rest of it. I mean, these are very small the points on my tweezers are very small, and I can't even get enough of a hold on it to actually push this thing down inside there. I'll try one more time, and then I'm going to go back to putting bollards on, and we will see if these will go on later. Yeah, it's not going to work without having something on either end to hold it in place. So now let me put another piece of tape down and see if I can keep from gluing myself to the file again. See what joys you're looking forward to, Kenny? I actually don't know what well, I do know. Hang on. I don't know that they put anything more on the bollards. If there's any pieces that go above. And of course the wood decking on here is screwing with the camera. But if you look, this is what they've got for the bollards. There may or may not be pieces, I haven't looked to see if there's a piece that goes up on top of those little pins. Matter of fact, where's Bucky? Let's move these over here. Be aware of the glue there. I have a feeling that there are no detail parts that go on top of those, which is really kind of sad. Oh no, yeah. Just need to find which page it's on. Because the original kit does have some photo etch in it. I'm just insane enough that I wanted to put more details on this. Yeah, there. So there are plastic parts that go on those, and there's nothing in between them. So if I do it without those pieces, the little metal slivers in between, it'll be just fine. It may not be 100% Canon, but I don't worry too much about Canon because I build my models for me. I build to make me happy. So first things first. Actually, I'm not going to try and glue it on there. I'll end up gluing it down and then I'll be sad because I can't put any paint on it. So get this to line up on here. I'm going to put I'm going to call them bollards because this is the base. I'm going to put the bollard on here. And I'm very carefully going to grab a drop of glue. And I'm going to put it in the center because I don't want it to be out where I don't want to glue the bollard onto this piece yet. Grab this one. Set it on top. Push it together. Grab another bollard to put on the top of that on the other side to get it to line up. Come on. May have been too long. I'm going to have to pull this one off. Using a very sharp knife, cut yourself, trying to get this apart. Come on. Okay, that's got that side lined up. The other side looks like it may not be lined up anymore. Let me see. This is a place I would use the glue looper in, but I don't want the glue to flow. I just want it where I put it. For those of you, because I saw that there were some new people on tonight. I have the glue looper, and it is well worth it. It is a fantastic tool. But it's not for something like this. So now that I have that lined up, let me carefully pull the bollards off the plate. Push it down. And you can see that holes are pretty well lined up on there. I'm sorry about the LED strobing light. So now I'm going to take this, do the same thing I did on the other side, and I didn't forget that that's there. I decided to just leave it there. And the key thing about this is I want to glue the bollards on when it's off the ship so that I can actually paint it, because if I try and paint it here, I'm going to end up with black all over my wood deck. I didn't hear anybody yell, "Don't drill a hole in the table." I expected to hear that. I should be able to pull this back out of here and have pilot holes. I do the same thing when I'm working on the house. Actually, you know what? Oh, I did. I drilled a hole in one spot. Did I go through on both? Nope. I drilled a hole into the mat. But that's what the mat is for. Eric, you missed it. You missed the perfect time when you could be shouting at me to not do something that I just did. I drilled a hole in the mat. And not Jazzy Dog mat. And I wouldn't want you to blow out your singing voice there, Spencer. Kind of like Eric a couple of weeks ago, probably a month ago, when you were doing your first soldering on a stream, and I was typing madly, "Stop, don't do it." No, stop. So, I have two bollards in place. And you can see that they're very reflective because of the steel. I think that's steel. I'm going to call it steel. It's probably aluminum. So like I said, I'm not going to mess with those little pieces. The original model didn't have the little pieces. This model's not going to have the little pieces either. Let me, before I forget, sand this off. And like I said, when you're dealing with photo etch, you don't want to go this direction. If you can, you want to go along the photo etch. Because if you go if you go perpendicular to the photo etch, you could bend it. Something this small, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to bend, but I don't want to take the chance. And I actually should have probably sanded these down, the burrs off of these, as I was cutting them. but there was 32 of them, and I was on a roll just cutting things off. What I'm probably going to eventually do is I'm going to put two of these together, you know, the bottom piece, the bottom plate and the top plate. I'm going to put them together and not set up or not glue the bollard on the top, the bollards on the top, and just use them everywhere where the everywhere where it needs the bollards go as a template for drilling the holes. So let me get two of these out. Actually, let me get four of these out. Get two of these upper plates. What I'm planning on doing, guys, is I'm going to finish off these four bollards, and then I'm going to place the wooden deck on the stern deck. I believe it's actually called the poop deck. I think that they're steel as well, but I don't want to take the risk, because even steel, that when it's this small, will bend pretty easily. It's kind of interesting, the difference between the manuals as well, because the manual that came with the kit, the regular kit manual, has you just lay these decks on and keep going. The manual for the photo etch has you put all these details on before you go any further. So now let me see, where is it? I'm going to try something here. Move this over here. Photo etch or I'm not photo etch. Glass table or a tile top to your table, or a piece of tile for the top of your table, are a must when you're dealing with photo etch to cut them, because you don't want to, when you're cutting them out, you don't want to bend them. That was scary. Carpet Monster would have a field day with these little pieces, and they're not magnetic. So I'm going to set this on here. What I'm going to try and do is set these on here upside down, so I can put the glue on and then set the other piece on top of it. Come on. Like that. I'm actually holding it onto the pin with my finger. Stay there. So now I should be able to, if this is still liquid enough, very carefully. That's way too much glue. Put a little drop of glue on there and have it pick this up off the thing, so I can maybe glue myself to it. I am still going to make sure that the long groove is on the top. But this way, it's not going to go all the way down and actually get glued unless it's on correctly. And And I'll tell you guys, with no depth perception, this is fun. Trying to not go further down than you plan on. So now lay it, not drop it. Come on, shit. Wow, I actually managed to get that on there. Hey Donnie, you didn't miss it. You want to go if you want to see the sound, light and sound card and the stand and the internal bracing. You'll have to watch the beginning of the stream. But yes, I am still on. So I've got the 4 bollards off. I managed not to glue them, which is what I was planning to do, is not glue them. Got the bollard plates down. They should be, and I'll be honest guys, these look fantastic compared to my first one. The first one had glue all over the top of it, fingerprints. You know, it looked like a 13-year-old model, brand new modeler was doing it. So now I'm going to set this on here. And actually, having this tiled here gives me an idea. I can drill through here. Without worrying about drilling a hole through the mat. I shouldn't blow at this thing. These little pieces of steel are so small, I could blow them away. So, set that in. Set that in. These are actually, without any glue, staying really good. I think that's part of the reason it tells you to use a 1mm drill to drill the holes. That's one thing too, is I've noticed when you're, and I don't know if it is the same on both sides of the ocean, but when they're talking about 1mm or something like that, they put this little sign after it when it's round that looks almost like it's supposed to be denoting degrees. And I don't know if you guys can tell, the drill is really tired. The battery's about to wear out. That will be the 3rd set of batteries for the handy drill since I started this ship. The first 2 sets or 2.5 sets were to drill all those flippin' portholes. I didn't actually count them, but I got a rough count, and it's right around 1,000 to 1,100 portholes. Let me see. That one's not going in. There we go. So I'm looking at, and I'm going to very gently, maybe I can get it. Let me put my hand over top. So the pins are on the bollards are just short enough that they don't poke through. You can see there on here by my pinky, you can see the holes, but the pins are not actually pointing through. So now that I've got those on there, I'm going to pull them back off. Wow, that one stuck really good. and I'm going to put these four bollards in their own little pocket in the container, because my plan is to paint them off ship. I'm not sure if I'm going to paint the brass. Well, I am going to paint the brass, but I'm not sure if I'm going to paint them as 3 pieces or it's going to glue them together and put them and paint them as one. I think I'm going to paint the silver pieces and the brass pieces separately, or the steel pieces and the brass pieces separately, so that I can put them back on just the way I did right now. That way I'm not fighting with them. So let me put this over here and do something that could be either really cool or really, really frustrating, depending on how it goes. Because I've read that when you put these down, you have to be dead on. I didn't have any problems with the first one. Right now I'm looking at these holes on the top to Tyson, go lay down. Looking at these holes on the top. Because they go through, these are going to be the spots that I try and line up. There's also a bunch of holes here for the benches, and you can see it a little bit on the on here. I didn't pull those out. I could have. I'm not going to, because I should be able to put the benches in place right through there. And if not, I'm going to be able to use the between those lines to line up the benches, and then maybe I have to drill some really micrometer, not micrometer, but some really fine holes. Yeah, Donnie, the handy drill is awesome. I'm not sure how well rechargeable batteries would work. I know rechargeables tend to start getting a half-life to them, just like the phone that I'm using for my Dread Cam. The battery on it is now charging only up to 80%. So I got those first 2 lined up. Nope. Come on. It's slightly off. Come on. Oh, shit. God. It's not what I wanted to happen. It's not the best thing to have happen, but it's not insurmountable, because I actually have some broken wood on the other one too. Let me try it from this side. It's not far enough back. Don't stick down yet. That should be good. That should be good. I said a bad word, and I say more bad words if things like that happen. But I tell you what, they're lining up. This one actually lined up pretty good. This one here, the bollards, these two didn't line up. These two did kind of. But see, here's the thing. I needed to remove the detail no matter what. And this is where, okay, no, those notches need to be there. That's where the ladder joins. This is where my experience using wood, because I build wooden models as well, does me well, because I can take a piece of wood like this that broke or that popped off very gently ever so gently, it's not wanting to stay in place, but it's got to be, it's going to stay there and well enough. There's a round part that fits here, and that I looked in the picture, that lip that popped off is still going to be visible. So a little bit of white glue, smooth it out over top, and be very sparing. Having done many wood models, be very sparing with what you do with white glue on top of something this thin, especially, because I can see it. I don't think you can see it. Yeah, you can a little bit. A little bit of discoloration there from the white glue, but it'll be okay. So this part here that broke off, ever so gently work its way back down to here. See, honestly, the bigger pieces like this are easier to work back into the mix. Come on. I can see a small gap there. This one isn't going to need glue on it. This one only needed glue on it because it's so small. You can see a little bit of a gap there. Very gently. I can feel it too. And that'll be fixed by putting people on top of it. And Matt, yes, I'm laying fake wood, and it doesn't take me 8 hours. Of course, I break it when I'm doing it. Of course, I don't have 8 hours worth of wood to lay on here. I've had people suggest that it would be better if it was real wooden planks, and I'm like, you're kidding, right? It would be almost impossible to get all these little planks in here like this, because these are the thickness or width of a toothpick. It's not fake wood, it's real wood. It's laminate. But you guys saw how bad that looked when it broke, right? I think I did a fair to middling job of putting it back together. I'm pretty impressed. So I'm going to call it good for tonight. There's a small spot right here that I may have to redo some work on because it doesn't show on camera, but it does to the naked eye. And since this is actually where the yes, planks out of toothpicks. Since this is the upper deck, this will show. I'm pretty sure it's going to be okay once I put the hut, whatever hatch, whatever goes over top of this. Once I put something on there, it's got a ladder that's going to come down there, and I should be able to fix that without any problem. I can also see here a little bit. I need to stop looking at things because I see things then, and then I want to fix it. So I'm going to probably, between now and the next time I do anything with toothpick, are you kidding? That would be longer than that. Because you got to remember, there's these two. And this one actually, I broke right here as well. These things are really fragile. But no, my plan is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, between now and the next either stream or video, I'm going to get the rest of these wooden decks laid. I'm going to get the bollards built. Matter of fact, here, Matt, you missed a couple of things. You have to ask the guys if it's worthwhile to go back and watch. I think it would be for the, for the light and sound kit and the stand. But a majority of what I did tonight after that was working on these little tiny bollards. If I can get that. Built 4 of them. Yes, I did. Yes, I did, Matt. I built 4 of them. There's 32 in total that go on the boat. I'm going to continue working on them. Not tonight. Tonight I'm going to call it good. But oh, you didn't see the Matt. You didn't see the worst of it. Let me show you. Between these little puppies, between each of these flat pieces here, they want you to glue that little sliver that you see there, up there, that little sliver is actually a photo etch part. And it's supposed to be glued on top of there. I'm not thinking that I'm going to do that. Maybe, but probably not. So I'm going to call it a night, guys. I appreciate you coming by. Anybody who has not before, I know, Matt, anybody who's not a member or has never been there, stop by Hobby Link International. Great bunch of guys over there. Kenny Conklin he's commented here tonight. Kenny Conklin is our fearless leader over there. We have a lot of fun. We have a group of group builds, a bunch of stuff going on. My builds are there. I've got the Titanic. I haven't started posting the Pearl over there. I've got, I want to say, 6 or 7 builds going on right now, which is why Eric from Rascals Hobbies, like, I want to see the Pearl, and we will see the Pearl next week. So I'm going to call it a night. I'm glad you guys stopped by. If you liked the video, give it a like. If not, that's okay too. Subscribe if you would. I'm very proud of the fact that I've managed to get up to 41 subscribers, 22 of them in the last month. Ever since I started the Titanic, build things that people want to see, and they will come and see your channel. So I'm going to call it a night. I'm glad you guys stopped by. You have a great evening, and I will talk to you later.